No, not ours.
Nobody listening.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Call the meeting to order and disclosure any peculiar interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Judy?
Okay, so just in the interest of full disclosure here, as you all know, my husband is working part-time for the town on snow removal. So when it comes to winter operations and the increase in the budget, I will be vacating my seat for a moment.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that. Okay. We have no minutes previous meetings, additional items. Do we have additional items? Do this one now, right? Yeah. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Dirksen. The Town of Minto Council convenes in the Committee of the Whole to conduct budget deliberations. All in favor? Great, thank you. Okay, welcome everybody, and nice to see everybody out today. And we don't have a lot of people in the crowd, but they're watching us on television, so be on the best behavior. Anyways, it's great, and I know I just want to say that the team, I had a chance to go over some of this at the department heads, and I'll just say you've done a great job of putting the budget together again this year. It's interesting, some of the discussions on the sidebars and whatnot, but I think it's very concise, it's easy to read, and now we can just go through it, I guess department by department, or whatever you guys are going to run it, and feel free to ask questions to the people as they present their budgets. So I guess I'll turn it over to you, Gord. Or, yeah, is it you next? Or which one are you doing? Chris. Chris first and Gord second.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody, and thanks to everybody for coming out today. I'm here as your former acting CAO,
Oh, yeah.
back to my fire chief role, but we put this budget together, and talking with Derek that it's kind of on day 2 we didn't want to throw him to the wolves and present the budget, so we just kept it going because we prepared this before his arrival, and that, but Derek's been briefed on it, and we'll comment as necessary. What we do want to make sure everybody understands, and it's the same way we've done this for about 8 years now, is as we're going through section by section, please don't hesitate to ask questions. This is the time to ask any questions for clarification or more information as each department head comes up here, because this is how we want, we've done it, and give you the opportunity to get the information that you need so that you're able to be there for the open house in March and then pass the budget in hopefully April. So just wanted to say that this is the time to ask any questions that you may have. As you can see behind me, we have all of our department heads and staff and everybody ready and willing to answer questions that you have. So the quick presentation that I'll do is the one we put together, similar to what Bill started, as I said, about 8 years ago. And we like to do this to kick off the budget and kind of give you an idea of the economic times, where we've been as a town and where we're going, and some of the things that we kept in mind when we put this budget together. So as we saw in the capital budget back in December, the title of this budget, or the theme of this budget, is the beginning of change. You completed the hiring of your new CAO. A bunch of other things have changed. We've talked about shared services, lots of stuff. So it's as we say, the beginning of change. And we always start with 2 quotes, but if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, then change your attitude. And that's from Maya Angelou. So I think that was quite fitting. And then John F. Kennedy once said, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. So I think that's very appropriate with the shared services and the stuff that we're talking about, that we don't know what the future holds, and we're going to keep going and looking at that. Here's our agenda. As I said, you're going to get this presentation, which is a quick 10-15 minute presentation, and then we'll get right into the budget discussions, sheet by sheet by department. Quick reminder, strategic plan is 2013. I know, talking with Derek, and that's going to be one of the priorities that council can give direction on, that we update the strategic plan this year, next year, whatever you decide with Derek, but that's definitely going to be a priority moving forward. We worked on the succession plan. as you saw, the hiring was one, and we've got other things in there that we have been working on and done. And then a few of our other plans there, which will come up in a later slide. Just a reminder, as we always do, our vision and mission statement that we had for quite a few years, and we all tend to look to and try and do our operations as per. Strategic direction as it says right now, or as it stands right now, and there's the breakdown of all the different categories. And one of the things we kind of commented on when we talked to department heads the other day about our strategic direction is a lot has changed over the time, and an example is workforce and housing. That was something that's really not addressed too much in here because it really wasn't a problem back in 2013, and how things can change. A lot of what you're going to see in the operating budget is because the significant growth that we've seen in Minto, which is unprecedented in the 20-year history of Minto, that adds cost, and it adds staff, and it adds time and work to what we are. But we are growing, and we are growing extremely fast. So we're trying to keep up with the growth. We're trying to work with it, and staff is really excited about how well we are growing, but there is certain ramifications that come with that. Just a quick to follow up on that, or to add to that, the economic backdrop. You can see there that the employment and the jobs have skyrocketed up, you know, as you can see in the bar graph there, and you can see the blue line, which is corresponding unemployment rate and how much it's dropped. So in Canada and Ontario, you can see again from 2013 to this is just goes to just to January 2018 how much it's dropped, and it's dropped even more. At the bottom there, you can see it says Minto, we're below 3% in southwestern Ontario, but a specific area in unemployment, which anything under 4% is considered full unemployment. So that goes to show you that the amount of jobs that we have in our area right now is fairly significant. To have a below 3% unemployment rate is huge, but it then leads to problems that we're working hard to attract more jobs, more factories, more things to come to Minto, but we are worried because we have nothing to staff them with. So it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I know we've talked a lot about that, but we try to address that a lot in the budget, and we talk about that on different programs and different things we need to start to keep our economy growing here. So the average value that we got, that Gord gave me, of a house right now in Minto, a residential house right now, is at approximately $242,000. We know that there's some catching up that has to do. Everybody that knows it's in the housing market, if you can find a house for $242,000 in Minto right now, you're doing it pretty good. We already have one offer right there from Councillor Henderson. But so we know that's got some catching up to do, and the assessment's going to keep going up, which leads to its own problems. The cost of living in January 2019 was 2.2%, and a lot of that's up from increases in food pricing, and a lot of it has to do with housing. You know, that pricing for leasing, buying houses, anything like that, it is costing our young people a lot of money. This budget assumes moderate growth in housing, agriculture, manufacture to sustain the increase in the assessments moving forward. We've assumed that before. We've seen moderate growth, but as I just stated earlier, we've seen major growth here, and that's been one thing that we didn't expect, but we're very happy to see. I talked about the jobless rate, and we still have the unknown future of OOMP funding and other sustainable grants. The government did say at Roma that the OOMP formula is going to be the same as before. The question that we have is, what is the before? Is that the 2017 before, the 2018 before, or the 19 before? Because it keeps dropping so if the formula keeps up and our assessment and our housing starts keep going up, that means our OOMP's going to keep dropping. And you'll see in the slide here, but our OOMP funding is down again. Well, because we see growth.
A good example to that, Chris, was the funding stayed the same as the year before. We went down 63, Gord, did we not, because of the formula. All they said at Roma was that they were going to keep it at $500 million on the same formula, so we don't know necessarily exactly where we could end up.
And the primary reason for that is our average assessment is creeping closer to
Yeah.
the provincial median, and as that happens,
Then we'll see it.
Yeah.
And that,
So you win on one and
so
lose on
you're
the other.
dead on with not knowing exactly, but at least that's where we're at, yeah.
Right, absolutely. So, and kind of a good news, we're guessing, but it's as unpredictable as anything, is energy costs appear to have stabilized for the time.
Yep.
Till another thing happens in the Middle East and our oil prices crash and our gas prices go up. But as I was trying to list, I thought I'd take it out of that graph and I start listing strategic plans or plans for Minto, but then I ran out of room on the slide, so I put "and many others" because, as you know, we have significant plans because staff have done a phenomenal job doing most of these plans in-house and keeping the plans up to date to help with planning for the future and planning to move forward. So there's just a few that we have. It doesn't even mention secondary plans in Palmerston, Clifford, and there was a couple other ones that I couldn't think of off the top of my head, but we have a significant amount that we keep up to date and we keep trying to roll with. But staff have done a really good job of planning for the future here in whatever area. And just a slide on its own, but as you know, we started the Master Recreation and Culture Plan. So please go online and fill out your survey because this month is recreation programming. And the last time I talked to Matt, which was a couple days ago, we have up to 35 surveys filled out. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, around 35. We've got some paper copies of the facilities, just for those who may not have access to a computer.
So it's being uptake already. That's pretty good because Matt thought he'd start with the boring topic because he says that's his area and he says it's boring, but I'm just kidding. But it's a great uptake for the first one, and we hope to keep building on that every month to get more and more feedback. So it's working well. The task force has met. We're going to have 6 different topics in 6 different months, which you've seen, and we hope to have the finalized plan to council in the fall of this year. And then that'll help with the 2021 budget that you can start looking at stuff to budget for that's included in this recreation master plan. So we're all excited about that and excited that it's underway. Succession plan was another one that's not there, but as you know, the CEO position has been finalized and filled. We talked about some recreation stuff brought upon by pending retirement sometime. We still have a very good core of young staff that have skills and abilities, so they can assume bigger roles and keep progressing up, which is what, in my opinion, being here for as long as I have makes Minto stand above, because we have the staff that just start as summer students, climb all the way up through the ranks to become managers like many behind me, and that's what makes us good here, because they know the history, you know where we come from, and quite frankly, a lot of us are taxpayers, so we know what it's like to be there. So when we do these budgets, that enters the conversation quite a bit. And staff will continue to look for opportunities for shared services within the county and with other municipalities. You've seen your presentation on economic development, and I know talking to the staff, they're very excited about it, and you're going to see many more opportunities come forward to you in the near future to look at shared services to keep costs under control and to keep money, other sources of revenue possibly coming in from them. So we're excited about that too.
Just on that, I know the council probably saw the announcement on the 141,000 that was announced from Minister Clark's office. Wellington North led that for IT development for the county and for the townships, and so that's a good example coming out of that survey or that finding. And it was interesting that at Roma there was 365 applications for that funding, and they picked 84 right away because there were joint applications. So they're looking for that. They're looking for that regional and joint opportunities to cooperate. So I kudos to Wellington North and to lead that, and the rest of the county and the townships to take advantage of it. And it was nice when Mr. Clark sent us that note and said we got that. So a good example of that. Just bring it up, Chris.
Yeah, no, thank you, and you're absolutely right. And we look forward to that. A big piece that we talked today is cybersecurity, and we're looking to see how all the townships and towns can work together to bolster that and keep that up front. The organizational structure, which is already out of date, so this is the old org structure, but nothing really changed out of the top there. But that just goes to show at the bottom, we have 44 FTEs. That includes the one that you granted in Public Works there a while ago. And we had 40 in 2010. So with the significant growth that we've had over the past decade, we've added 4 full-time equivalent positions. So I think that's good that a lot of staff have taken on extra work, contrary to what we hear in the public, that we have people sitting around doing nothing. We have extra staff all the time creeping on here. We've only added 4 in the past decade, and I think in the business world, if you had a business that has expanded and grown as much as what our municipality has, you would see that probably a lot more. So again, kudos to the staff, because they've taken on the extra work, they've dealt with it, they've switched their jobs around and been able to accommodate the growth and what we can get done in a week and a day. Our pay equity has been complete, and the yearly COLA increase is incorporated into the budget. So that's the way the policy is, that until further directive, we increase the cost of living increase into the budget, which you will see. And the shared service study, again, saying that. Our asset management plan, we've beaten that to death over the past little while, but you know it's there. Just as it says, on a cost base over a 10-year period, $8.8 million per year would be needed to fully fund the asset management plan. There is ways of looking at it that we can drop that, but we do keep that in mind when we're looking at the capital work and future 5-year plans and that. This I broke from the KPMG study, but this just shows you the growth that we've had in municipal taxes, and this is what we collect, but it's not from significant budget increases. It's just we have a lot more taxpayers moving to our town, and with the amount of housing starts and industry, we're growing in a big tax base. We're getting bigger and bigger, which is great. So that's the total taxes that we've increased.
So how many taxes aren't shown on this for some of the new builds?
This will be everything that's reflected, so again, by legislation, we have to bill on the return roll, so those are the figures that KPMG and Chris have reproduced there. So those in-year growth figures aren't really reflected in the current year, but they are reflected in the next year.
So it runs to 2018, or Deputy Mayor Turton. So I think what you see is a lot of the growth that Terry's and the building department have seen in the past, housing starts and that, won't be reflected in that one. So it would be interesting to see what 2019 brings with that, for sure.
Just on that, and Gord, I've mentioned that MPAC is usually about a year to year and a half behind. So by the time they actually get out and assess somebody's new house or build or renovations or businesses, then it takes us that long, and then the new tax comes down, and then we get the supplementals, and you maybe talk to that. I don't.
And we have a phase in next.
And they have the phase in next year because they're doing them right now, so we'll see what our average house is going to look like. And we don't get the money up front, so when you get your tax bill, they phase it in over 4 years. So we're just getting the last to phase in now, right, of the previous
we're
4.
completing, I guess, the third 4-year cycle. And the wrinkle for 2021 is the valuation date is January 19, not January 20. So I think they gave themselves a longer time.
The only good news story there in my mind is we have a full-time dedicated person pretty well at the county that monitors this for us
Does a great job.
and goes after impact and makes sure that we don't miss anything, David. A few years back,
Yep.
I think you remember that we were like 2 or 3 years behind, and we're getting it a lot closer. It's getting better, so I give them that. Yeah.
This is the slide that I know everybody likes to see every year, but distribution of the tax dollars, and it shows that our share of the tax dollar is 41%. And the county share is 47%, and the expected budget increase is around 3.3% at the county this year, correct, Mayor Bridge?
Yes.
And again, at the bottom, 1% increase in taxes raises around $54,000 a year for us. So not a significant amount for what we get. There's the distribution, so where the tax dollars that we keep, where that goes around with all the different departments. And then on to the OMPF. And you can see this year, we start off with, between the OMPF and the OCIF, we're down about 69,400, roughly. That's my calculations. But that's what we're starting at as difference from last year's budget. So we have taken some money from the modernization grant to stabilize that so that we could at least start near zero again. But when we talk about the OMPF funding is going to be the same, you can see there that it's down about $100,000 this year for us. So
And just on that, and Gord, is the fact Randy called me today and to let me know, even though it was already, we heard at Roma, about the OCIF. I give the government credit for the fact that we got both those numbers just right now. Last year when we were sitting here, we didn't know, right, Gord, what we had there yet.
No. And so that's something, I guess, a small update from the capital budget. Remember, I said, I've got $500,000 here.
Yes.
I have a letter from the minister, that's
Yep.
all I got. Well, now we actually have.
Now you have it.
publication, So I'm happy we don't have to change that.
Right.
And a lot of that, if you recall, is we put that into the paving roads
Yep.
and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
No.
all those projects that we
Great.
have in hopefully can go forward.
So that's the update on the funding. Again, asset management, but just some of the projects that, reminder that you, and this is where we talk about the capital, is the likely grant projects. We did receive Connecting Link funding, so that's the project for Arthur Street East and the Lawrence Avenue project that's already been approved. And we are still waiting for the application we submitted in 2018 about the Brunswick Street Bridge in Palmerston that we're hoping to hear. It's past the province, it's on to the federal government, and then we're hopefully hearing from the federal government soon that we got the okay to start that project. But
Yeah, and I reached out again this week, and as Chris says, there's no news. There's 3 municipalities in Wellington County that are in the same position, so we're optimistic. And I guess while we're talking to capital, that's under this ICIP thing, so there was erosion bridges round. There was a recreation round that Matt and the crew put together. I doubt we'll hear that till probably the summer,
Yep.
maybe late spring. So again, not a lot will happen. As of yesterday, basically, we submitted the green stream, so that's for the clarifier, the Palmerston sewage treatment plant. So I will probably modify that, because even if it goes ahead well, we've been working with our town engineer, and he's got a good timetable for 2020, 2021, 22, so I might back out just the 2020 items in that too, so. And those are the main projects. The red funding we heard about before Christmas, so, there's a bit of uncertainty, but maybe not quite as much as we had.
Yeah. And little update at Roma, we talked about this, and we're not the only one in the boat. As you say, there's 3 in Wellington County, but
Yeah.
there's only a very small percentage that are sitting at Ottawa. Now, the good news, hopefully the good news is they just started to, I think next week they've had the cabinet meeting. They have to get a budget. It's a minority government, so all those things weigh into it. So I would hope that if they thought we were going to build anything this year, that they would do it first thing when they get in there and get through the first budget, I guess, that they have to do.
so as Gord said, the capital proposals were presented in December, and we really, other than what Gord's talked about, there's no other major changes. We're not buying any last minute fire trucks or plows or anything like that, so so the capital budget pretty much remains unchanged from what we presented in December. There's the reserve contributions, which you're going to see in this, and this is a summary. There's no new debt projected in 2020 because of the fact that some of these projects not going to have to go like the Green Stream and that we won't hear. So there's no new debt projected, but there's the reserve contributions that you will see in the operating budget that we're looking at. So still fairly good. Obviously, reserve contributions could always be better, but we're still doing pretty good that way. Just showing here again, this is the growth, but what I wanted to show you is the operating budgets are in orange, and this is again from the KPMG study. But you can see if you look at the orange in our operating budgets have stayed fairly steady since 2012. There's not huge growth. You don't see a big movement in that bar graph. So our operating budgets have stayed fairly steady throughout this decade. And then our capital, has been hit and miss. Obviously, we've had a few major projects with the Clifford downtown, and that shows a little bit spike, but that's what we wanted to highlight there. And this is the residential taxes per household on your average typical property, and you can see that Minto's down near the bottom compared to when they do the comparisons to other municipalities, that with the lower tier share of taxes, we're down near the bottom on with a lot of those municipalities. So just a comparison that was in the KPMG study that we wanted to show. And then to reaffirm what we talked about with our average house price, you could look compared to those municipalities, our average house price is at the bottom. So we are proud, and we do a lot in Minto, council staff and everybody together with a lot with a little. We do a lot with a little, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but these graphs kind of show that and highlight that. you all know the process. Each department head manager is going to come up here and discuss it. They're going to get their sheets. There's the sheets. They're the same. They haven't changed in a long time, but it goes through and shows you previous years. It shows you what the proposed budget for this year is, and it goes line by line. We're not going to go line by line. We're going to talk about the sheets, and we're going to give you the highlights. If you have any questions about anything in there or the line by line afterwards, please don't hesitate to ask, but the same sheets that you're quite familiar with. And, yeah, I'm not going to go through the cover report, but I'm going to call first department head if there's not any questions.
Questions? Ron?
That process shows that we're second lowest in tax per household. It'd be nice if we could market that out when we send out our first tax bill or something, because I'm always getting that we're the highest taxes in the area and should move to Listowel and so on. So that just presents it right there. I wonder if we should do some marketing that way.
When we get some of the press releases out, and when my successor Derek starts working on the press releases and that.
Derek's writing everything down.
But no,
I just
definitely
think Chris is giving as much as he can, as quickly as he can to Derek. I can tell you that in the last 2 days.
Here you go.
It's like a fire hose. Like that's why he's a fireman.
Well, yeah, it's what we took in fire terms. I'm bailing out the window as fast as I can. But for sure, I think probably in the mayor's comments and their press
Yeah, for
releases,
sure.
we can advertise some of this and just incorporate some of this into that press
That'd be
release
great,
and that
Chris.
information for sure.
Yeah.
Tell the real estate agents.
That's right. So there's no other questions.
I have a question.
No,
Yep.
sorry. Yes, Jean.
The same question I ask all the time when we go to FTEs and part-time people. Do we have any numbers on how many because my idea of FTE is that's just a 40-hour work week. There might be 3 people filling it, there might be 1 person filling it. So when we get our numbers and we say we have 40 or 42, but we put out 214 T4s. So to me, that doesn't jive. It doesn't all add up, and it is one of the things that we get looked at all the time. You hear about it all the time uptown, that, there's too many staff, but it's hard to justify that because it doesn't compute to me. To me, an FTE is 40 hours of work week. We got 40 FTEs, but we've got 214. So clearly, we got a lot of part-time people or casual people, but we don't have any way of allocating it or presenting it or representing it or justifying it.
We can break it down. One of the things that I will give you as a caution is, of that 214, the part-time, we have 85 firefighters. So the volunteer
Okay,
firefighters
so they're
are
included on
included.
there.
As per Revenue Canada's definition, they are a part-time employee because they get a very small salary.
That's right.
Right.
And because they changed the minimum on T4 slips, you
Right.
could be a part-time smart serve bartender that works a shift or 2.
Yep.
And
I know.
And you got a T4.
Right,
So you got
but it's
that.
just hard to sort of put it all together, because
Yeah,
in
well-
my nursing world, an FTE, I might have 3 people that constitute 1 FTE,
Right.
but they're still permanent employees.
Well, and with that permanent employee, again, we can break that down for you in a future meeting, but that includes your summer students or lifeguards.
And I was going to ask
All
you
that.
that, are the summer students included in the FTEs
No.
that are reported? No.
That's in that 214
Okay.
total, so.
In fairness, Jean, they're in the budget, like they're in the operating budget.
Yeah.
So.
I understand that, it's just, we keep saying this 40 and 42.
Well,
and-
because we're comparing where we were in 2012 to where we are today on that full-time. We don't have, I don't know how many more summer students we have today than we did in 2012. My concern with that is if you start looking at those numbers, it's all about your budgets as well, but,
But in my, sorry,
go ahead.
in
Jean.
my way of thinking, a full-time person is not a full-time equivalent.
Yeah.
You can have full-time equivalents, and none of them are
But
full-time
is your
people.
concern we're not comparing, because we're still comparing apples to apples, we're comparing 10 years ago to what we had full-time, to what we have today. And on that, to be honest with you, we've taken over the sewer system, which we didn't have before.
Right.
And we do contract out some things too, that we probably maybe did before, so there's some offsets. But that gives, I think it's just a ballpark to show you that we're not constantly adding people. And when we add, and as Gord just said, some of these things, if you compare to 2012, might not have been, you may not have had to do T4s for some of these people. Now you got to do T4s. So saying you have 212 T4s compared to 2012 because of the changes of the rules, is, you know, it's going to be hard.
We should call them
But-
casual labor and then the other people are.
Yeah.
But it's important for me to understand that, because we do
Yeah.
get questioned on this.
Well, and I think it's a
different
good-
way of thinking. There's FTEs, there's full-time people, and then there's FTEs, but you can have a lot of hours on part-time people that are not full-time employees, but they certainly add up to FTEs
Yeah.
if you're looking at your overall budget, and that's the way I'm used to thinking of it.
Right, so the our FTEs, our full-time people are permanent full-time people.
So they're not full-time equivalents, they're full-time. FTE is a full-time equivalent. 3 part-time people could be a full-time
Right, so
equivalent.
full-time employees that we have, permanent full-time employees is 44.
Okay.
So the rest of the employees, the 200, if that's, and I'm not even sure if that's accurate, we'd have to, because it fluctuates so much.
It's just, I keep asking, like, do we have an idea of the numbers, or the hours? We must know how many hours we're clocking somewhere. There's got to be a report that provides that.
We can get you that information afterwards, but I know it's
Okay.
held steady throughout the years for that, because KPMG's, that you saw, that study showed that the employees were steady right across the board, right across the decade, so.
Judy?
I was just going to say, maybe it's as simple as just changing that slide from FTE to FT, because that's really what we are measuring.
I know where Gene's coming from with the FT, because
I-
that's
I
how the
totally-
bank, we did the
I totally
same
get
thing.
it, but I also get that that would be a real bear to try to calculate.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody does it.
Because those people are here for short stints of time.
David?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Gord, 214, is that accurate? 214
It's not
T4s?
far off, I'm sure.
So how many employees have 2 slips?
There'll be
Or 3.
an overlap too.
Yep.
Again, I keep coming back to the bartenders.
Yep.
Yeah, because
Firemen?
you could be, like,
Council?
you and I could do that. Well, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, and you do.
So 214
That's right.
T4 slips.
And also, we've got some employees that are firefighters.
Yeah.
doing that too.
Yeah, we have quite a few of those, actually, so.
I'm going to ask our new CEO, he's got a, oh, yeah, we need a mic over there, right? Do we grab that one? Here, that can be passed back and forth until they, oh, you sit down. Yeah.
Bring your pad.
Bring your notepad.
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Bridge, you're absolutely correct. It's a terminology.
Right.
And for a long time, when you do municipal comparators, one of the things you do on labor is FTs or FTs.
Right.
And you're absolutely correct. That term gets intertwined and interswitched. And what I think we're talking about here is absolutely is full-time, not FTEs. Because quite frankly, trying to figure out 214 working an hour and a half shift here and a shift there, and trying to add that up to 40 to get you what the equivalent would be, quite frankly, an onerous administrative task to try to do that. But I think for the purposes of your conversation and for the budget, I think what staff are trying to say is, look at the amount of growth we've incurred over the last 10 years, and you've only really added 4 full-time people that work 40 hours per week, and that's fantastic. I can assure you of that, my experience, that the amount of growth that you've had and the downloading that you've taken over, just doing 4 is an amazing thing. But you're absolutely right, and I know when you're out and about, right, if it's somebody watering the hanging baskets downtown or whatever, and you see a couple of people on a truck, oh my God, we got a ton of stuff. So I understand that comment too, but realistically, your 40 is what your FTs are, and we can absolutely make that change to take the key off of there, because that's not accurate.
Yeah, that-
right? And it's confusing people, but truly, that's the benchmark for municipalities and how they compare labor, is they use that term.
Thanks, sir. All right, David, do you have a question?
I asked it.
Oh, you already asked it? Oh,
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, you did. Time is running out.
He's on his game.
Well, I'm a game now. Okay,
an
so,
All right, so the
no
first.
more questions, we're getting into it.
All right, we're getting into it. The first one is, this is the under administration of the mayor council,
Oh, there
so
you go.
your budget. And it's just up a little bit, but that is to compensate for the new rules and how council is paid and how you get the deductions and all that stuff. So that's to offset the deductions that you now have to incur.
I think a year ago, we underestimated how much the benefits would change because you're above some thresholds and that, so we're trying to correct that.
Our benefits?
Well, because it's on a
Well,
percentage. It's on a, we don't,
CPP and EI.
Oh, I was going to say, we
The
don't have benefits.
statutory benefits.
the statutory
There's
benefits,
no
yeah.
dental benefits
Yeah,
for you
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Oh, man.
No benefit to
Let's not get that, we don't need that out in the street, Gord, that we got benefits.
Yeah, we have
I
that.
saw
What are
that,
you
and what the
saying?
hell benefit do I get?
Withholdings, yes.
Oh.
Get the- you-
And again, I won't even get on my soapbox on this, but we fought hard not for this to happen, because in small communities,
It makes a
the
difference.
federal government gets to take this tax in, and the provincial government, and in fairness,
And the property tax.
we're trying to get people to run, and if you are a young person making a fair good dollar and want to run today, you're paying 50% of your out in taxes,
Yeah.
whatever you make here. And usually that little third used to give you a little bit of a break on doing it. So I don't understand the rationale behind it. It was buried in a budget item. We fought hard at FCM to try to get it changed, but the unfortunate part is majority of the cities and everything already did it this way. They maxed up, and then you didn't get the benefit because it's all about your expenses and everything. And it's different in a city.
But they're
The idea of
getting
the third was
100,000.
for your expenses, right? To help you with some of that. So
We had no
we had a
control.
small voice when it came to the end of the day, and they didn't want to change it. So I don't think we'll ever see it go back.
I don't think
But that's the result you're seeing today, so that's not just us, it's everywhere.
Any questions with that section?
Okay? Moving up.
On to CAO clerks. So the big change here is we have a CAO, actually in the CAO clerk's budget. Most of, when I was the acting CEO, most of my salary was in fire, so that was not there. So that's where you're gonna see the change in this one. And that's most of the changes that you'll see in this budget. Yeah, I don't really, that's the major change.
that is true.
Questions?
Any questions or comments on that?
Nope. Okay,
That's what we wanted.
that's what we asked for.
Treasury and reserve transfers.
There, and I'll just make a comment too that I wanted to talk about earlier regarding wages. We have a little quirk of the calendar for
Yeah.
2020.
That's right, that's right, yeah.
27 pays.
Yep.
So you're going to see a temporary bump and then temporary reduction in 2021. So that's incorporated there. You're going to see a lot of them say a wage increase. So that's one of the reasons why too. So on here, basically, we've got treasury and everything that doesn't fit anywhere else too. So including reserve transfers and that too. So we've got a provision for the additional person that we hoped for last year, but maybe they'll materialize this year. And other than that, things are relatively constant. Chris mentioned hydro and that, and like the actuals are coming in pretty good. But once again, they're changing the rules on us, and they're backing out some of the rebates to it. And residential customers are treated differently than commercial. I think most of that impact is going to be next year, but that's another little proviso all through there. So everything else is up and down and
Yep.
pretty much offset.
Questions?
Sorry,
Wait, okay.
under the solar microfit revenue,
Yeah.
why is
so-
such a,
It has been really disappointing, because we thought that we would get a lot more money. Again, that's a good example of something I just stuck in this budget. And on the Fit For stuff, we're not getting what we thought. Now, I realize there's a lot of cloud last year, and that makes a real
Big
difference.
difference.
Like, it's incredible.
it just was quite a,
Yeah, I
difference there,
think
right?
we had
So-
anticipated like 35,000 or something a year ago. Because when we first got into this, 2 years ago or whatever, we were literally thinking $1 million over 20 years.
Yeah.
And then we kind of thought, well, we're getting at least half. It hasn't played out as well. So, I mean, hopefully we get a pleasant surprise next year, but I did scale it back.
Pray for sun.
So have we had an explanation from our supplier?
That's kind of what they
That's
said.
his explanation.
Yeah, that part. And then they've been so busy trying to prepare these documents. This is not new to anyone here. The amount of paperwork to do with solar energy is absolutely ridiculous. Poor Ann Lean's had to do these things, and my goodness, there's a lot of administration goes with relatively small amounts of money here, and the bookkeeping that we have to do too. Janet used to do it, and Tanya does it too, because most of them we get in money and then we pay back 90%, and it's certainly not a simple system.
Anything else? Nope. Okay, go on. Property and people?
So I did this one again because it doesn't really fall anywhere else. So the major change here, this is where our flood mitigation projects, that program, and unless the mayor's heard anything, it's terminating March 31st. Boom.
Haven't heard anything
So,
new.
Right now, we're doing that. I guess refining the scenarios. Remember at the public meeting, we had 12 scenarios for Harrison flood mitigation. Got it down to 3, and so our engineers, both Leafrick and Triton, are working on trying to flesh it out a bit better, and they have to have that work done by the end of March. And they're basically saying, well, once that's done, there's not going to be as much in this budget here. The conservation levies have been pleasant surprises so far.
And on that note too, just an update from our Public Works guys, that the work that they have been doing downstream, Maitland Valley was doing a lot of monitoring that during that last flood event, which we averted anything bad happening here. And they were very happy with the results of a lot of this work that we've done downstream by kind of widening and doing some deepening and that type of stuff. They said that there was some very positive results that Stephen Jackson, the engineer at Maitland Valley, is doing some calculating, and will get a report to us. But the water levels, in not technical terms, but by ribbons on trees and stuff like that, they thought was down maybe a foot. And it was similar rainfall to what we've had in previous events. So it's showing that the work that we were doing on the North Ward drain pipe, backflow prevention, and some of this widening did work. So we'll have further information to you, but good news, really good news that
That's great.
this money that we're spending is actually making a difference. So, which we were confident was going to, but to have that proof right away is good payback. So,
And I was, as I said before, I was driving around that day, and I went out to the 87 bridge, is out in 87, and there was people there doing a monitoring thing, and it was the federal government actually, and they say they're working with Steve on verifying some of our matrix on our mitigation. So they were out there checking on water flows at the bridge, and they had a thing in, and they had the computer and all that stuff. So yeah,
No, it's
so
great
it's
that-
interesting, and it's nice to see that. And I also at that point, Chris would say that George Street and whatever, we had our pumps out, we were ready to go, and the thing down on the North Ward drain stopped the flow from coming back, and we were there to do it. So I think all that good work.
Kind of like a science experiment.
It is,
We
it
actually
is.
do it, yeah.
I think when Steve gets those numbers out and gets them figured out, like, Steve's a pretty respected person in
Yeah,
our
we can get
community.
them
He's
out,
excellent.
And posting them, letting people know is the right thing to do.
yeah, we're very lucky to have them.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
Mark?
So what do we expect to see from them in March, Gord? Just, are they gonna
Oh, that's
fine tune those 3
Yeah.
options, or what are they gonna do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Are
exactly.
they talking
And-
to you yet about it, or anybody? No?
well, we had, remember Bill White did kind of a
Yeah.
preliminary there? So they're gonna focus on those things, and like this is a long-range project, and whichever alternative is gonna be the most feasible. And as the mayor said, I think we'll be able to actually bring some refinement into the effects, like if you spend this and you do that. Because here, to be truthful, we haven't spent huge dollars, and we've had quite an effect. So I guess that's the art, eh? Where can you get your best value?
So they caught up with what they were supposed to do?
They are, and
Yeah.
what Triton's working on now is more accurate figures to say, like one of the scenarios was diverting the river, right? So they're gonna have accurate costing on what each scenario would cost you, so that council in their flood mitigation master plan that we brought forward the draft, when we bring you the finalized plan, you'll have a better idea of what things cost. So, you know, bridges, all that kind of stuff will be in there with that. So it gives you a better idea to make some decisions on where we're going to an end.
Yeah. And as you all know, they're big numbers, Mark, but the good news is, or what I'm thinking, and through Federation of Canadian Municipalities, what they're working on, and what the federal government's come to us and told us, is they eventually want to get out of the insurance business. They don't want to be there, you know, where they had the insurance, if you didn't have insurance, you got some from the government. They would rather do things that would mitigate that, so there wouldn't be those things. So they may come up with some bigger dollars. So by us being ready for some projects that we got some numbers on, if that opens up, if that stream ever opens up, which I think it will,
I think so.
and that we'll be able to go and say, okay, we need $15 million, whatever it is, to get this done, and that'll take people out of that zone. So I'm hoping that that's what we're, by being ready,
Yeah.
shovel ready,
Can
that's
only
what's
help.
going to make it happen.
That's what
And, you know, to be honest, a lot of other places aren't there. I mean, and David, you know, some of them are looking at our 3D mapping and saying they want to get that done, because that really makes a difference when you're trying to project as to how
Absolutely.
what you can do, spend money to save money down the road, right?
Steve has software as well, where he can plant a scenario, like take the John Street Bridge out.
Yeah.
Just pull it right off and see what flows through there. Or dig the beds out, or whatever.
That's what they're working on now. They're
So
working on
it's-
those
yeah.
scenarios.
It's amazing what he can do.
Yep.
Absolutely, yeah. And to further what Mary Bridge said, is a lot of these, when you apply for a lot of these grants, the one question they have is, do you have a master plan complete for this? So that's where we're getting to this step, and what you'll see come back to you, hopefully in this, first thing in the spring, after I brief our new CAO on this project, so that he can be part of it, is that you'll see that final plan, and then you'll be able to make the decisions then, and we'll be able to really start progressing forward with that, so.
Floodplain mapping is big as well. I mean, we've done it. We have the results.
Yep.
And, I mean, there's not many municipalities in Ontario that have done that, especially the ones that
3D.
have rivers.
That's right.
Okay, any other questions on that? Good work. Moving forward.
After-school program.
Okay. So this one, we were alluding in the introduction to all these new things. This budget really was like tiny before. Basically, it was 10,000 for physician recruitment. We've now expanded into the community gardens, and we have them in all 3 communities. Over the last year and a half, we've got the after-school program, which has been a great success. A lot due to the people in charge of it, I think, and I think the parents have responded well, so we've got that in there. We've got a couple of other relatively new initiatives. As you know, this is Let's Talk Month, and Minto has been very interested in mental health, so we have some money in there for that. We also had the presentation 2 councils ago from the Guelph Rotary Club about the Integrated Youth Hub. So I put a placeholder in there. It's still in the early stages. I think there's going to be some financial commitment from the town, so we've got 10 and maybe 20 or so. We're still working with municipal and other partners to see what the funding is going to be. But it sounds like that whole group is determined to put a hub in Minto, and I think council is quite supportive. So this is a budget that we put that into.
Holy,
So
Oh, my
there.
gosh.
I want to
with that?
emphasize that.
rock on.
Captain.
It's a $50 fine if your phone.
Okay, we've had our,
The
we've had our wake-up call now. We've had the wake-up call.
Everybody get their
Next time for everybody. Right, Ron?
Just to add to what Gord said there, as far as it's a placeholder for now. By the time we pass this budget, we have, I think, a pretty good idea of what our commitment will be and where other partners are going to come into play. So I think it's a great project, and we're getting some really good commitments from community groups and other people. Gene, I think you were at one of the meetings, or Dave was at a meeting? I can't.
Which, sorry?
Well, for the when we talked with the
We were at
Guelph.
the initial one.
Yes,
Oh,
and then,
the
of
high
course,
school?
you heard the presentation. So, as I said, we need to put something in our budget we'll probably have a better idea by the time we pass the budget of what the costs will be and what all the groups that are coming in, but any other questions? Okay. What?
That's the end of me.
Oh, yeah. What do we got?
Economic development.
Oh.
So subbing in for Belinda, who's
Yeah.
vacationing this week, is Taylor.
How'd she get to do that? Vacation during budget?
nice,
Like,
eh?
really, eh?
Where is she right now on the
Oh,
cruise, do you
somewhere
know?
warm.
Oh,
Really?
what was, so you couldn't call her
No
and find
service
out?
out in the boat anyway, so like, what's the?
Well, Taylor, I'm sure you're doing
Talking to
an
the
excellent job
dolphins and
on
the
this, so
So Taylor is really on her own. She can't phone a friend right now.
can't phone a friend, she's on her own.
Phone us, we'll give you an answer.
Yeah, yeah.
So Taylor's willing to step in and go through this one area, so.
Okay, so first, overall economic development budget. So, the biggest changes or things to highlight, would be noting, everything happening with the shared services, or as we like to call it, the enhanced partnership. That's really what it is. So we presented a few weeks ago that that's sort of, up to speed, but just an update, we're going to be attending, Montgomery Council next Monday. Naples the next Tuesday, and then at that point, we would then, visiting all councils, and then we can to go over, the MOU, and get things rolling. So that's where we're at for that. So the biggest change, would be kind of partnering with them, but it doesn't affect, the current budget, so we can really be working on what's already, in our budget. The only difference would be that we're looking to hire a summer student to assist us, really with, summer events. That, is kind of great in the summers. And some of that we can also be allocated to the tourism budget. So just a small portion from the actual economic development budget. And then we are planning on hiring a student event coordinator, which would be, a partnership between all three, although we have that in the budget still from the academy. To coordinate with that, so that doesn't actually change the budget either. And then the biggest thing to note as well, as you're all very familiar with, is the Proton Rising efforts. So all work on this in Proton Rising. So now we have one general this budget line for the downtown initiatives, but now they would be split into three so that it's more clear and concise, just a better breakdown of what's happening in each town. And also note, for the holiday events guide, so that is going to be, we're going to be taking that over, or giving that over to the chamber. We'll be providing them $1,000, as well as some staff resources and time to still continue to help with that, and that's going to be taken over by the chamber, just since it's doing, knowing what the chamber does and what the system position to do that over. And that is the biggest highlights. So if there's any questions,
Questions?
Alright,
Next up.
tourism. So not too many changes to the tourism budget either. But I'll note that we will, like I said, we'll be applying for a grant for the summer students, along with $1,000 towards this student will come from the farmers market budget, since the student will also be looking over the markets on Saturdays. And then also potential funds coming from Minto to complete that partnership, which was just also funding from the Smart Cities Initiative. So Summer is attending those meetings, and she's the representative from Minto. And so that is $10,000 from the county. And lastly, the chamber for wages increased their contribution towards Summer's wages, or staff wages, and that is offsets the changes to match the actual town contributions. Is the position to match that. And I believe that's all. If there's any questions for Marcia? Making this easy for me.
No, you just did a great job there.
Great job,
Pretty,
yeah.
pretty clear
Well
and
laid out.
concise.
Yeah, it's very
All
good.
good, positive stuff. Thank you. Administration. What we got? No, wait a minute.
Building department.
Building department. It's all administration. What am I looking at here? I'm looking at the wrong. Terry.
So the two biggest changes in my budget, one is an increase in projected revenue, so not increasing the fee structure or anything like that, it's just the development is getting busier and busier, so obviously the revenue is going to go up as well. And then the other one is an increase in wages. So my department has had 3.5 people for the past 3 years, but the salary from one of those positions was covered by mat leave and disability leave. So it was never really, it was picked up through absenteeism within the department. So now it's the first year we're fully staffed, hopefully, for the entire year, so we're projecting to increase in wages. Any questions?
Even more straightforward.
There you go.
Sustainable.
Oh, back to you, Chris. Overall
Oh.
fire.
I have no idea what's going on in fire because I haven't been there. So.
You better, Ben.
No, so the fire, as you can see, is we have the overall and then the breakdown per station. The major increases is we have to carry 2 software programs this year. So every fire department in the county, including the city of Guelph, is moving to a new management software program. So it's called emergency reporting. How we do our incident reports, keep our training records, our personnel records, all that stuff. We've used Fire Pro for the past 20 years, which has done us really well, but it makes sense for us to switch to emergency reporting that every other county department is and the city of Guelph. And with the city's new dispatch system, which remember last year we moved to full dispatch with them, so they dispatch us from beginning of the call right to the end of the call. The new software program will talk to their dispatch, so it'll pull information. It'll push all the information from the call and from the property and all that stuff to our system now with the new software. And the same thing, it can pull stuff that we put in, like pre-plans and stuff like that, back out. So through the transition year, we have to carry both softwares, so we have to pay fees for both softwares. And then at the end of the year, we'll drop Fire Pro and carry on with emergency reporting. So that's one change. Increase in some training with the new NFPA fully enforced, and we've gotten to the point where we've gotten numerous learning contracts, they're called. So the fire college gives us the contract, and we're allowed to teach the course in-house for our firefighters.
Nice.
And last year I did a fire officer course for them, and we've done a pumper operations course. And we've taught it with our own people, because we have some in-house instructors, and they don't have to travel to fire college or anywhere else. They can just do it in-house. So that's a huge thing. So the uptake in the courses has been really well. So we're going from 2 to 4 courses, but taking the course, we pay them for their time and their logistics and lunches and stuff like that come. So that's going to be an increase in some of the training budget. And then uniforms, with the 14 new recruits that we hired last year that are now becoming firefighters, we have to buy them bunker gear and fire and uniforms and all that this year, which our policy says we don't buy till they graduate. They've all written their tests. They're all well on their way to being certified, fully certified firefighters, which I can't remember the exact number, but we're somewhere close to 90% of our firefighters are going to be certified or grandfathered to firefighter level. So that's pretty good. So we're just getting those 14 on the trucks and outfitted properly so that they're full firefighters now. So
Is that a sign of the times with all the new recruits?
to be certified,
No, to bringing them on so quickly? Like you brought 14 new recruits and 11 of them have already been promoted. Are we have quite a bit of retirement?
that's what we have. Yeah, we don't have. We're very lucky in Minto. We don't have people that are quitting for various, we have retirements, as we like to say. So we're having 35 and 40-year people retire. And it's just a cycle that we're in right now, that we have a lot of those 35 and 40-year people that are finally deciding that after that many years, they've had enough, and so that's what most of our hiring are, is to replace them. Yeah. So.
And just on that, I mean, I hear from other mayors and with volunteer firemen, I know Chris hears it all the time, like, we had 60-some people for our 14 spots.
64 applicants, yeah.
And a lot of fire departments, they have people go and they can't even find the replacements. So it's hard, right? So I think you're doing a great job, and obviously people like being on the fire department in Minto.
It's a cult.
According to Deputy
If
Mayor,
it
it's a
works, then
cult.
we'll keep calling it that, Deputy Mayor.
Spoken by a Mason.
You be careful with the fellows that beside you.
And I'm a Mason too, but I'm going to throw that out
To
there.
say, aren't you a Mason as
I am
well?
too, I am too. Let's throw that out there.
So, and
Good
then
job.
Yeah, the station budgets
We'll
are,
talk about this.
a lot of the stuff that we're finally pretty much to the point now. I just want to point out that a lot of the stuff we moved to administration's budget, because we don't break out a piece of equipment that's fixed belongs to Harrison Station, whatever. The piece of equipment is under administration, so we don't have to break down, because we're always switching equipment between stations and rotating stuff around. So the station budgets are mostly just fuel, repairs, and wages. So we've got getting that pretty much down.
Did you want to just, Chris, are you going to go through each one of these stations, or just say if anybody's got questions on them?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go through each station, because they're pretty.
It's all in
They're
the-
same, they're little minor things
Okay.
Yeah,
for
they're almost the
wages
same.
and that.
Yeah. Has anybody got a problem with any of the station ones? Okay, so, good on the whole thing?
Yeah, I will say that finalize that is call-wise, and you'll see our annual report sometime,
Mm-hmm.
but we were down pretty good significantly in calls, which is a good thing for.
Yeah, and loss of property, unbelievable, 33 was the lowest ever.
We did not have many structure fires
No.
last year, knock on
No,
wood, so
it's just amazing.
we had a very good year that year, so
Yeah,
that way,
well,
so
it's all good.
we're happy. Well,
Nice to be prepared, but it's nice not having to do it.
that's right.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
Okay. All right, up next is facilities. Mr. Carr is coming up.
Clifford.
Welcome, Al.
Hi, I think I'll just continue with the board brought up. You're gonna notice the biggest thing on the sheets that we do have our staff. And another one is insurance. Increase. I guess we can go through these. I'm sure everybody's read through them diligently, and as opposed to going line by line and every item and saying that. Is there any questions on the left of the
Is Clifford up first?
Yep.
Yep.
I missed that somewhere. Must have thrown it in here. Okay. Anybody on Clifford? I did. I threw a bunch in. I gotta back up here. Okay, there we go. Already passed those, but the arenas. Okay, nothing on Clifford? Go ahead. Harrison?
Harrison Arena?
Okay. Palmerston? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just quickly, is there any thoughts on what's happening with the booths in each of the arenas?
The booths are not budgeted for this calendar year. Currently, they are being leased out, and we're going under the assumption that they're going to be leased next year. I think what we're gonna have to do, Councillor Elliott, is do a review with Sean, the gentleman who's overseeing the concession booths at this point, and see how things are with him. It does outline on both the Harrison and Palmerston lines the slight savings that we are
Right.
by not operating concession booths.
And-
You're also got to provide a service too, that's the, I think, but,
Yes,
Yeah.
it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
for the arena.
Maybe through you, too, Ron, I thought when we did this, PRAC was going to review it at the end of the year and then decide what they're going to do going
I
forward.
think it'll be brought
So it'll
forward.
come back to us in some form, right? And as you're saying, Al?
Hard
Yeah.
to anticipate a booth when
Yep.
you don't know what's going to really
Yeah.
happen.
Okay.
Deal with people. Yeah.
We're just going status quo.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Minor ball soccer.
I do want to make a
like it that way.
Mhm.
Any questions on it? Nope, okay.
I do want to add with the ball and soccer, if you don't mind, Mayor,
Mhm.
as well as the parks, after speaking with Treasurer Duff, we have added some reserves. Our reserves we're getting now.
Oh, okay.
So we have added reserves to make sure that.
Oh, I saw that, 3,000. Yep, good.
So moving forward, we're
Excellent.
hopefully going to be in pretty good shape.
And Minto Parks. Did you already do that one? Who's that? Is that yours, Al? Yep, go ahead. Did we already do the Minto Parks? We did?
No.
I did,
We're
no.
going to
Okay,
right now.
we are now. Okay, go. Any questions on Minto Parks? Nope, okay, good, Al. You were anticipating no questions.
I'm just thinking a binder would help him a lot with his
Yeah,
paper.
well, I am. I work on this. Am I slow in the process? I'm sorry. Satellite facilities.
Satellite facilities, I do want to highlight the wage increase, and a majority of that wage increase is going to be at Palmerston Rail Museum. We will have 2 students, kind of, 35-hour a week. We do want to start them a little bit earlier. Just to give council an update on the Railway Museum, the archives that you see on display are all
Catalog?
thanks, Gordon, cataloged into the software, computer software. There's a little bit more to do upstairs, and it would be really nice to get that part done this year. But the use of the little train, now that it's been fixed up, and the hand cars, and it's becoming a much more active site. Really incorporates one of the points here, which helps. That's it. Really pleased at how that's going.
Any questions? Okay, moving on. Trails.
We just have assumed a little bit of grass cutting.
Yep.
To be specific, that's by the lagoon and Clifford. We had a volunteer, Mr. Palmer.
Yeah.
Couple of years, and he's had to
Slow
give
back.
that up, so it's now contracted out.
Any questions? No? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think, looking at the map and happening in the last few years with the trails, I think we need to put more money in there because we want people to use them. They're not finished. We can't put them on the map if they're not finished, and that's my feeling on it. We don't put enough money into them.
Is that in terms?
Well, they're not finished, like,
Councilor Mackenzie,
yeah,
is
they
that-
need-
Is that in terms of more of capital
Capital,
or
yeah.
operating?
Capital.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, most of them aren't surfaced properly, and that's been on the list. They keep picking every other year a different municipality to do it. We'll never get caught up if we don't tackle this thing, and it's hard to put that brochure out with the map on it, and they're not ready to walk on it, That's my feeling on it.
I can't remember what we put in capital for trails.
$10,000.
1,000 this year? Well, I don't want to get into it tonight,
No.
but I kind of agree with Councilor Mackenzie. I'd like to put more money into trails. Unfortunately, the county had that 50,000. We took totally advantage of the 50,000. Over the years, we put a lot of money in our trail.
Yeah.
But I think we have to, I'd like to look down the road, whether it's this year or next year, look at more money in trails. I'm with you on that, but it'd be capital. We have invested in some equipment that we now hopefully can keep on a little
We
bit.
did a fair bit in the Ann Street Clifford.
Up at
so
Clifford,
there was
yeah.
some
last
spots
year.
and that, but,
So,
We have a
Ted
lot of
does-
trails.
there's stone dust and-
Miles of trails, and they're not finished. We can't keep going like that, really.
And that's right, and there are miles to finish.
Yeah.
yeah, there is. So,
We'll take that back
we
and
tackle
see,
it,
we'll
yeah.
take that back
Yeah.
and see if Gord can wave the magic wand and find some. He's gonna we'll shake his socks and see.
but
if we can find some on
from operating, I think, operating wise, you're all right with the operating?
His bank account.
Would this be something we perhaps should have a recommendation come back through the Trails
Committee.
Yeah, so I think so. I mean, you'll have another meeting before I think you have a meeting coming up, don't you? One more?
Passed.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Right. Is that yours? Are you doing adventure? No, you're off the hook now.
Recreation services, that's it for Ella.
Yep, thanks, Al. Good job.
You have to leave now, Al.
You gotta leave now, Al. It's,
That's what he was going to talk about.
We came a long ways, Mark. Came a long ways.
Whatever.
Put up is adventure camps, that's our summer programming as well as PA days and March break. And I guess unfortunately, recently that includes some of the strike days, so we're gonna have a program on the 28th, the Tuesday here. We had about a dozen kids sign up today.
are we sending that bill to the
Mr. Ford.
government, or?
Is that the next schedule?
Hey, we
Just
just
kidding,
take-
just kidding.
Nice if an agreement could be reached with the
Yeah.
teams and the
It's great that you're doing that, though.
yeah, we've got the ability to do these camps with just the cooperation of the facility staff and with some of our staff even available and some students that work for us. So, yeah, we'll be ready to go on Tuesday and that'll be out of Harrison.
Sure,
I'll
it's
just,
much
one of the
appreciated.
things that I know we receive in the office, one of the most complimented things is, and it came up at the very first task force meeting, was the ability to scramble to offer these.
Yeah.
The residents are very, very happy with that because it really helps a lot of people out that they can do that. So,
Yeah,
you know,
For sure.
the staff and everybody to be able to pull this together quickly is a huge benefit to our municipality.
And you hear nothing but good about
We
that
hear,
program.
yeah, we hear
People
really
love
good
it.
things.
Listowel people come over they want to know if the Harrison program's running.
Mention, I just to give the facility staff some credit for these.
Oh, absolutely.
We've also done the shinning and the skating.
Yep.
And those are sponsored with me, so sometimes also for the shinning, we want to keep them for the skating, just to give the kids that don't need childcare something to do as well.
Right, sure.
That's it, there.
Great.
Good.
It's really good.
With respect to this budget, we aren't proposing any
Changes.
decrease from
Very good.
last year this year.
Questions? Good. Here's Pool.
Nothing new there. The one trend we've noticed is that we're selling less seasonal food classes and we've had a lot more uptake and interest in private lessons. So, just with a lot of the young families that we have in the area, just with their busy schedules, we're finding that we're allocating more time slots for private lessons as opposed to group lessons. That's a trend that's steadily increased, I'd say, over the last 5 years. And you'll notice that when we get to the Palmerston Group budget also.
Good. Questions? Oh, good. Palmerston Pool? Well, I see that in Oregon up there, but I thought you put the pools together. I didn't. I'm moving around
Matt's
here.
OCD has to go in alphabetical order.
I know. Let's just think outside the box. Let's just be.
change.
Remember that quote about change. We're changing this up.
Which one are we at?
Oh,
What are we
God, that's
doing?
the Palmerston Pool.
Going to the,
Sorry,
we're going
let's
to
jump.
Palmerston Pool.
Okay, I'll get there. There, we're good.
Okay.
So you notice some similar trends in Palmerston as we did in Harrison with private lessons. The demand and the revenue, we're looking at that, and then the good increase in seasonal passes being purchased.
Questions? I think Norgan's up next. Is that right? You got that?
Yeah, we'll go
Gonna go
back.
backwards.
Go back to the Norgan? Sorry, I'm messing everybody up. Or just changed my thing here.
We're still proposing to operate at a surplus, or take that surplus and put it into reserves. We typically try to set aside 16,000. Just with the overall attendance, the last couple of years, we're going to aim for 17.5 this year in terms of the reserve contribution. On the service measures, you'll note that in 2018 and then in 2019, we hit the 10,000 patron mark for the weekend feature film showings for the first 2 years, so it's great to go back to that. I think that final number is just shy of 11,000, so almost identical to 2018. It's a busy spot, not only on the weekends, but weekdays as well, with a variety of rentals and things that we offer at the facility.
No, it's a great thing to have. Any questions? Oh, good.
With recreation has been, the one major decrease from last year would just be the amount that we're going to allocate to the recreation master plan. The bulk of it's going to be done in-house. We'd like to go outside a little bit, but not certainly to the dollar value So that kind of helps offset some of the increase in the wages, as you mentioned, in the wages this year. The actual overall increase is only 500.
Questions? Nope. Special programs?
Yeah, so these are a lot of the, like, grassroots and other sports programs that we offer. So we do, the hockey, basketball, ball hockey, the team courses like that. Our work with the Minto Academy activity group, all that would be encompassed.
Big budget.
Yep. Questions?
It's a moneymaker.
It's a moneymaker. And, but, I mean, the value added to the community is amazing for
It's
the
huge,
dollars.
yeah.
I mean,
Can't put a
Can't.
price on it.
go wrong with it.
Not tell tales at school, but the first task force meeting was, that was a lot of, the conversation was the grassroots programs and how well Matt and staff do on that, and, you know, what else could they add, and, you know, that was very well appreciated and talked about at that the residents liked that program and liked the idea of that, so, and the ability to try new sports without having to sign up with significant dollars and for significant time, so.
It's a great core of volunteers as well, it would be possible to run this program without them.
Good point, Matt. Good point. Yeah. Health and safety. You haven't got rid of this yet, or no?
No, and instead of Greg and Greg.
Oh, okay, okay. Greg has it, yeah, I know.
We like to throw a dollar into that, and, no major changes. From, the one thing, you know, with the defibrillators, we're lucky enough, to have gotten a grant, we've got 11 of them in place, throughout various town facilities. And we just look after the replacement cost when the batteries in the pads are set to expire, so we make sure that they're fully functional and operational.
Questions? No? Okay. I think that's you done. Public Works. Mike?
Thanks, Matt.
First up, cemeteries.
Hmm.
So, with all the budgets for public works here, there's a lot of shuffling from account to account kind of thing, with wages and due to the increased full-time, staff number. So with cemeteries here, you can see a decrease in grounds maintenance, that's contracted grounds maintenance, but an increase in, wages and benefits for staff presence there.
Is this part of what we heard from Paul's thing at council the other day, right? Yep. Good. Yeah, I think that's a good move. Yep. Any questions? Municipal drains.
Here, there's a reduction in wages, that's basically, my wages and municipal rates, these are actuals, and then, that's being allocated towards the full-time member as well. And, increase in funding, and then an increase in consolidation, and with municipal drains, there's, communication started with, Lawrence North and Mapleton, possibly coming up with Jones.
That's, yeah, another from the shared services they talked, yep, good.
Enhanced partnership.
Enhanced partnership, I like
Yes.
that better. I
I-
like
I
that
do
better.
like that, yeah.
Enhanced partnership.
Ideally, this account will come down significantly.
Good. Questions? Good. Road administration.
Okay, this, the main ones here is the decrease in funding. And, I guess just the increase in snow removal from the county contract.
Questions? Good. Vehicle cost and allocation. Look at these are nice
I love the
pictures.
pictures on that one.
Love the
by the way.
pictures on this.
I love the pictures on that, yeah.
We got a new grader,
Well, they're still happy.
a new grader, and it's a six-wheeled grader, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could possibly pick
wheels.
6 wheels, or six, say whatever it's called, 6 drive, 6-wheel
Six-wheel
drive.
drive.
Yeah, 6-wheel drive, it had more than 6 wheels. I don't know how many wheels it's got. I have to look. Is it in the picture? Anyways, any questions?
Do they all steer?
Yeah, they all steer. Roads maintenance.
Okay, so this is one that we did some shuffling around in, so, you'll actually see a reduction in almost $500,000. Transfers to capital, over capital.
Yeah.
To better account for our assets.
Yeah, so if you may recall at the last thing, we went from the 520,000 that we've had in the last few years to 900,000 in tax-supported capital, and that's the main budget it's come from. But so much of it is paving and sidewalks.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. Questions?
And then actually one other one there too, is 38,000 in snow, wages in winter control.
I'll move to winter,
That's just been allocated
to winter control.
to winter control.
Yep.
where it should-
Okay, thank you. Questions? This is the one Judy, Judy's gonna stand down on this one.
Which one, winter control?
This is winter control, because of her husband working for us part-time in the winter.
And the major change there is the 38,000 transferred over from
Yeah.
sidewalk maintenance
Yep.
over and properly allocated in winter operations.
Yep.
Okay.
You. Any questions? Welcome back, Judy.
With all that new,
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say you got to stand up. That's a bonus.
with all that new blacktop, it must make it easier to move snow.
It is making it easier, yes. Yeah. It was a lot easier.
Stay standing up, that's kind of nice.
And the tractor's working really well.
I'm with a couple experienced guys from, that used to work with Toronto, and now they're in Minto.
Yeah.
That's good, too.
Yeah, it's good, too. Exactly. Trailer park.
Trailer parks, strictly revenue from, Palmerston Trailer Park.
Yep.
And this is based on the actual, revenue from the
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, moving
Can we build
forward.
another one?
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
That's my question.
When we get into attainable housing and look at it, I mean, they may be not called trailer parks
No,
anymore,
but
but we can come up with
something.
something.
Call them,
Double wides.
We'll have, I think we're gonna have some of those discussions going forward.
like, if you look at Pike Lake,
Yeah,
right? It's a beautiful community.
yeah.
No, not
on
along
the
the river, and we would have to have control over it, but it's for housing for kids. It's about all they
Anyways,
can
we,
do.
we can certainly, part of this whole
He's writing it down.
drive, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Derek's got that down.
I think it's essential.
That's true.
Yeah. Streetlights?
very minimal changes in that, small increase in revenue, and, everything else basically stayed the same.
Town landscape care?
So this does have,
Love that it
an
turns
increase in wages there as well. And, that's allocated
From that,
reallocation of staff,
We heard that the other night.
mhm.
and then a reduction of the plants going to, the penny stores for the
Right.
Talked to Paul today, he was working on his color scheme, and I think, you know.
I was going to ask him about that the
Yeah,
other night, but
think,
I thought I should.
well, I'd say what he told me, Gene, but I might be wrong on, so I'm not gonna say it, but you can ask him, but it,
Okay.
because he was telling me about it, and I could probably get half it right, so I don't wanna go
Because
with it
Joanna
wrong.
likes to know, just
Yeah.
to compliment, because some of us will
Yes,
get our stuff
yes,
from
and
her
he's
for
been,
the-
he's been talking to Joanna, and he's been talking to his new supplier, and,
All right, I'll send him a note from
Yeah.
the port people.
You
For
might
sure.
be in
Rather
big
than the
trouble if you
council
told
people.
us ahead of
Anyway.
time.
yeah, well, if I said it wrong, and I had, then somebody would say,
Especially
well,
then.
those won't work, I don't know, like, whatever.
He's staying away from the brown.
He
No
does-
brown, he's got no brown in it this
He
year,
does a
no.
beautiful job.
That's for
Yeah.
sure.
I think he really enjoyed his time at the mic the other night, too.
Yeah, he does
didn't
it, well,
He did a very good presentation with a big audience, for
Yeah.
sure.
well, Gene knows he does is it
Well, he
orchids? Orchids he
Daylilies he had.
Daylilies is what he's an expert in, daylilies, so if you ever want
He
to,
does
we have
great
a talk.
presentations.
Yeah,
But as Mike said, this is in response to that last report you got a few months
Yeah.
ago about, changing to part-time.
Moving
Yeah,
increasing,
works.
Putting it full-time,
Yeah.
and this is where you're gonna see the benefit
for sure.
is the response to flower beds and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, so.
Excellent.
It'll be excellent.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We just need a good growing season.
Yeah, good.
Well,
Good.
the watering helps.
That's good. Wastewater? We're gonna move the wastewater guys up here. Mark,
Wastewater, what is that?
it's water you don't drink right off the bat, David, I think.
Use it for
But you can
plants.
drink it, I'm told.
Where we grow the fish.
I beg your pardon?
Well, I was told you could drink the water out of our
Safe.
plants.
Says the man in charge.
Okay, okay. All right.
But you
I
can
wouldn't
still-
Moving on
advise.
from there.
All right, go ahead, Mark.
All right, so we got the overhead here. The main increases are wages, as the board mentioned, with the 7 days. And we're also hoping to incorporate a co-op student into the water and wastewater division this year. And we'll recognize the guys that are getting close to retirement.
Mhm.
Hopefully, local trained staff.
Perfect.
Local is the key word there. Mark.
Yeah,
Keep our
or
kids-
trained,
We've had some really lucky
or young, or both. They're all
Yeah.
aboard.
Excellent.
You won?
Yeah, Mark was one. I think he was, weren't you, Mark? Yeah, you were one. Oh, you set me up on that?
Very qualified.
He's still young.
Told me
Is
right.
What are they doing
is that
in
a
this
local
picture?
or local?
Local, yeah. Any
One with the
questions?
pipes.
Any questions? No good? Okay.
Oh, just me, I want to know what
Counselor
they're doing in this
Anderson's
picture.
in the middle
Oh,
of the
you're not in the
question here.
picture? Where are you? I looked
They
at
got blue pipes, and it looks like they're in the bottom of a dungeon somewhere.
No.
What is that? Just out of curiosity.
Which picture are we looking at?
Right here.
What page is that?
I think that's water. That's water. That's drinking water, not wastewater.
Oh, okay. Have I stepped, oh, I'm in the next.
Are you in the next one?
You and the
You're in the
mayor.
next
I
one.
jumped
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
You and the mayor.
Yeah,
You can drink that water.
you and the
I
mayor.
wondered what they were doing in here if this was wastewater. Okay.
No,
My
this
mistake.
is the other stuff you can drink.
All right.
Go ahead.
I like my well water personally.
Yeah.
Goes to the still.
Me too.
Are you doing that one or is Todd doing this one?
I think Todd's gonna look out for water.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I get to ask him that ask question. Then.
Did I miss you one? Did I miss one of yours? No. We're on the water, I think.
Water treatment.
We did yours. You're done.
Wasn't that easy?
Todd's up now.
That was way too easy, eh?
They're gonna do the same as
I
what
think
we
we
did,
should make
Phil?
this a little more difficult, shouldn't we?
Well, in this-
You know what's
having
great,
their
though?
own
It's all
They've
done.
already told us all of this
Yeah.
ahead of time.
paper.
Oh, is that
There's
good?
no surprises.
Well, because what's his name? Probably
Okay, Todd, what are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing in that picture
He
exactly?
works for Aqua.
But he does them right now.
Are they? How far down are they?
That's probably 6 feet, involved will be at least 6 feet above what depth we put
Looks like a lot of fun. I'm glad that's not my chosen career.
You probably see them in emerge sometimes.
No, they're usually pretty careful. I
Okay.
can't say, touch wood, I'm working to merge tomorrow, so let's not be jinxing it, thanks.
Yeah. Go ahead, Todd. Is there any-
Okay, so on the water side, much the same as what Mark just said, no real big changes. The big numbers are the wages, which was already talked about, and then, yeah, just mirroring what Mark said, we're hoping to be a co-op student, and it's worked really well for us in the past. Past that, there isn't really any big changes unless somebody has some questions or anything specific.
Just,
Big capital rate, water towers.
Yep.
co-op students, where do you get the co-op out of, where, like what?
We kind of put it out, all the colleges and
Okay,
send, yeah, not specific colleges.
so as a college, not a university.
As long as they have a course that relates
To
what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I think it's great for us, but it's also great for the students, right? It's beneficial both ways.
Do you usually get a lot of applicants, and if you put out,
Yeah, and again, if we can get somebody that's reasonably local and knows the area, that's a big benefit.
right,
for us. Many years ago, I went through a co-op program and I didn't co-op here, but
Yep.
it's a great way to get started in any industry.
yeah,
so,
for sure.
excellent. Yep. Any other questions for Todd?
So
Sorry, go
you
ahead.
got repairs and maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about these big, beautiful towers and paint and repairs that are coming.
Yeah.
And so, 50-year guarantee on these, on the structure?
Yeah.
It's coatings that are the big.
Yes, coating's 20.
I know.
Is what they're telling us.
Yep.
So, yeah, this year do them in tandem when we're doing the inspection of the tower, kill two birds with one stone. So clicker will come in the following year, and then we should know where those coatings are at. There's not really anything to give us any indication that they're failing, it's just, they say they're 20-year life expectancy, so we better prepare for them.
Landmark,
Yeah,
they still in business?
yeah.
And I think, Dave, one of the things, department heads the other day, we talked about it, was just what Todd said, we're gonna do some of the inspections.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to look at our 5 and 10-year budget going forward, because there is some fairly expensive things that have to be done once you start painting them or doing things or whatever, if you have to do it, right?
Gord's going to tell us about
Sorry.
depreciation.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because as you know, we've gone through the development charge
Mhm.
study, and in fact, at our next regular council meeting, we'll have the public meeting. And again, we started that probably in about April of 19. Through the process, there's been many items to do with water and wastewater that have come to light. So the development charge process allows you to look at them and what's related to new growth, which is our subdivisions and all that. So we think we're taking care of that, but in talking a lot with Todd, we have some issues with our existing things. So I'm proposing that we move right into a water wastewater study, because a lot of things have come up that we didn't know 5 years ago or so. So I'm probably going to put a little allocation
Well,
for consulting to do that study over the next 9 months or so.
I think
because we have to address.
We haven't had one, Gord, how long was our last one?
Well, our original one, we did an adjustment.
Yeah,
So
adjustment.
in 2014, 15, because we brought in
What,
the
the
water
meters?
meters in
Yeah.
13 and 14.
Right.
The projected consumption was far higher than what the actual consumption. So we did a minor adjustment, I guess, in 2016. But basically, it's 6 years, because they can
So we're
only
due.
do what we tell them. And we're thinking, well, we don't have to worry about water towers, they're good. And now we do have to worry about the water towers. There's also some rumblings about changes to the tolerances for chemical contamination, and we'll know a bit more about that, the lead testing. So we have new information, and we have new people too, like we have a lot more.
But it doesn't affect this budget. This budget
No.
is there, but it's a good heads up,
Yeah.
David, and,
Yeah.
yeah, we're,
That, you know, if I may, that's something that's highlighted in there too.
Yeah.
If the MOE comes in, and some of these, it's gonna affect some of our sites, right?
Yeah.
And it could involve treatment, and even on the operational side, if we do get into any kind of treatment, then you're looking at training too, right? For licensing. Yeah, going forward, it's something definitely want to keep the finger on the pulse for,
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah, for sure.
It's one of the good things about meeting with your colleagues, going to training, talking about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Thanks, Todd. Okay, so, I think, Chris, we're,
So that's
the end of it.
That's the presentation of all the budget sheets. Is there any questions that have come up in your mind since?
oh, sorry, Gene.
I just wanted to make a comment that it's really great that staff has come forward with reports over the last several months on
Most of
probably
this.
most of, like, not, there really was very little in this that was any surprise to us. Like, biggest surprise to me was we've got 27 pay periods in 2020, like, you know, so, and nobody can do
Don't
anything
spend it all at
about,
once.
and nobody can do anything about that. So, anyways, yeah, it's just great the way that all of the staff brings things forward to us on an ongoing basis, so that we're not just hit with this big
Surprises.
surprise thing that is our budget. Because, like, honestly, I could, if I told people it took us an hour and 40 minutes to go through the operating budget, they'd say, well, you guys aren't doing your job. But really, because you are doing your job and bringing us all this stuff ahead of time, it makes our job so much easier. So I just want to give the kudos to the staff for
David?
that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you guys eat, sleep, and drink budgets, okay? And money management is pretty huge. And with a leader like Gord, I'm sure you guys get your questions answered. And so, rather than leaving it till, we all know that budget time is at the first of the year, you guys are likely now working on next year's budget.
Where?
So, I mean, I agree. Congratulations, and thank you for doing that.
Mark?
And we've got, instead of 3 months back, we only got 2 now. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've taken all my energy out of the room on Thunder, which is good, because that the council understands it, and exactly that. I mean, it's like anything else in the world. If it's not a bunch of surprises, then you don't have to, get into it. So kudos to the staff and everybody that works on this. The asset management, Gord, again, like having asset management, having these things, it puts it in front of us all the time, puts it in front of you guys all the time. Like I know Todd and Mark and Mike, they're all constantly, and Al, and they all are looking at where they can save money, where they can do something. So it makes our job pretty easy up here to look at it and then go from there. So thanks very much, and further things.
Thank everybody here,
Yep.
and one person that's not here is Jackie Harmers. Really
Yeah, Jackie isn't here.
helped
Yeah,
a lot
she does a lot of your asset
planning.
management stuff. Yeah, good point.
it's great.
Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Gunson. The Committee of the Whole convenes the regular council meeting. All in favor? Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Anderson. The Council of the Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Good meeting, everybody. Thank you very much.